So now we're going to get a little story of two kind of friends who had a rivalry, or they were rivals and then they ended up as friends. There was in that legion the strongest men, centurions, who were approaching the first order, or maybe that's the date of there. So they were approaching to gain this rank of first order, and their names were Titus Pulus and Lucius Vorenus. These, amongst themselves, had perpetual controversies, or were having perpetual arguments, who should be carried first, or who should be considered preeminent. In all the years concerning the highest places, like the highest honors, with rivalries, they were contending. From these, out of these two, Pulos, when harshly or fiercely towards the fortifications he was fighting, he said, why do you hesitate, Vorenus? And what place of the testing of your virtue do you expect? This day will judge concerning our controversies. When he had said these things, he proceeds outside of the fortifications, and whichever part of the enemy most dense seemed, he rushes. Vorenus does not indeed contain himself in the rampart, but having feared the estimation of all, like what other people think of him, he follows. In a small space, or with a small space having been left, Pulo, the spear into the enemy sends, and one from the multitude running forward. So one running forward from the multitude, that should be accusative, he pierces. With which one having been struck and killed, this one they protect, like the Gauls protect with shields, into the enemy, like now towards this Roman soldier opposed. Into the enemy, weapons all together they toss, nor do they give an opportunity of retreating. So Pullus can't retreat right now. He is, the shield of Polonus is pierced, and the javelin, that should be a nominative, is stuck in his sword belt. This misfortune overturns the sword sheath, and to the one attempting to remove the sword, his right hand is delayed, so he's unable to take out the sword, and the enemies surround the impeded one, so this guy, Pullus, is in trouble. The one hostile to that one runs, Vorenus, and to the one laboring or trying to get loose, he comes or arrives. To this one himself immediately, by Polone, the whole multitude converts. So the other guy runs up, Vorenus runs up to help this guy, and all the Gauls turn to him. Why? Because they think him to have been killed by the javelin. With the sword face to face, the matter he waged, so he fought face to face combat, Vorenus, and with one having been killed, a little ways he repels the remainder, or the rest. Then, more eagerly, he burns on, and into a lower place, having been tossed down, he falls. So now he's in trouble. Vorenus is in trouble. To this one, surrounded again, Pullus carries help, so probably he got his sword free, and he brings help. And both safely, with many having been killed, with the highest praise, they recover themselves into the fortifications. Thus, fortune in the contention, or the argument and the dispute, each one dealt with each one, and that with the result that one to another hostile was for. So one hostile one to another was for help and for safety. And neither was it able to be judged whether, or which one to which one in virtue seemed to be preferable. So they both seemed equally virtuous, and now they emerged as friends. By how much it was into the days, or into the following days, more grave and more by as much as it was more grave and more harsh in the fight, and greatly because, with a great part of the soldiers having been affected with wounds, the matters to the scarcity of defenders had arrived, or the matter to the scarcity of defenders had arrived. By as much, more frequently letters and messengers were being sent to Caesar, of which part having been comprehended in the sight of our soldiers with crucifixion and torture, or with torture was being killed. There was one within Nervius by the name of Verticus, born in an honest place, who from the first siege to Cicero had fled, and to him his own faith had pledged or had given to him. This one, having persuaded a servant with the hope of liberty and with great rewards, that letters he should carry to Caesar, these he in a spear or in a javelin having bound carries, and a Gaul between Gauls without any suspicion having turned, he arrives to Caesar. So because this guy was a Gaul, he was able to turn and move about amongst the Gauls without suspicion. From him, concerning the dangers of Cicero and of the legion, he learns. Caesar, with the letters having been received around the 11th hour of the day, at once a messenger into the Bellovaci to Marcus Crassus the quaestor he sends, of whose winter camp was away from him by 25 miles. He orders in the middle of the night a legion to set out swiftly and to come to him. The legion to set out and to come to him. He exits with messenger Crassus and another to Gaius Fabius, the legate he sends, in order that he should lead the legion to the borders of the Atribi, in which place a journey had to be made by him, or so Caesar knew he was going to be going through that place. He writes to Labienus if anything he would be able to do conveniently for the Republic, with the legion to the borders of the Nervi he should come. The remaining part of the army, which a little ways farther was, he did not think they should be expected, or he did not think it to be expected. Around 400 cavalry from the neighboring winter camps he binds together. Around the third hour, by the ones running ahead, concerning the arrival of Crassus, he was made more certain. On that day he proceeded 20 miles. Crassus he made at Samborvaria, Crassus he gave as a legion. He gave Crassus a legion at Samborvaria, which there the baggages of the soldiers and the hostages of the state and the public letters, and all the grain which at that place for the sake of tolerating or bearing the winter he had carried, he left. So he left all these things with this guy. Fabius, as he had been ordered, not thus much delayed in the journey with the legion, arrives, or he meets. Labienus, with the death of Sabinus and the destruction of the cohort having been known, since all the troops of the Treveri had arrived to him, scared or fearing lest, if from the winter camps he should make a similar setting out to flight, the attack of the enemy he would not be able to sustain, especially those which by the recent victory he would know to be elated. Letters to Caesar he sends back, and with how much danger the legion from the winter camps would be taken out. So he's telling Caesar, look, it's going to be a lot of danger to bring them out. The matter having been born in the Urbani, he writes thoroughly, and he teaches all. So he tells Caesar of all the cavalry and the foot soldiers and the troops of the Trevi within 3 miles from his camp to have settled. Caesar, with his plan having been approved, although in his reckoning downcast, in his reckoning three of legions downcast, he had come down to, or he had returned to 2. Nevertheless, one help of the common safety and swiftness he was placing. He came with great journeys to the borders of the Nervi. There from the captives he learned what things were born among Cicero, or around Cicero, and in how much danger the matter is. The next video will have the rest.